another episode of the Vision to Victory podcast, where we discuss practical ways to turn your dreams into reality. Today I want to talk about commitment. I want to talk about what it's not, what it is, why you need it, and I want to give you 3 practical things that you can do to help you not only commit to the things that are important to you, but to stick to those commitments. Let's talk about what commitment is not. Commitment is not a wish. It's not a I'd like to have. It's not a that would be nice. It's not even an interest. For example, you go ask several people on the street today if no strings attached, they would accept a winning lottery ticket. More than likely, 100% of people would say yes. Yes, I will take a winning lottery ticket. I would like to be rich. Most people like the idea of being rich. It's nice. It's a wish. It's a that would be nice if. That is not commitment. That's interest. It sounds nice. You could even have a strong desire for something, and that's still not commitment. It's not the same thing. Let's talk about what commitment is. Commitment is resilience. It's grit. It's a posture that says, when I hit obstacles, which you inevitably will if you're pursuing a worthwhile goal, when I hit obstacles, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop no matter what. No matter what, I'm going to keep going because having the life that I want is not optional for me. That's commitment. Why is it necessary? Well, again, if you're pursuing a worthwhile goal, you will hit obstacles. It's not an if, it's a when and how often. Because the reality is no matter what, you will hit roadblocks, you'll hit turbulence, whatever you want to call it. Things will not be going your way all the time. It's a reality of life, it's a reality of relationships, it's a reality of business, and you need to decide ahead of time who you're going to be and what you're going to do in those situations. Because the reality is the difference between successful people and those who aren't successful most of the time is this. It's commitment, the grit, the I'm going to do this no matter what. And that way, when the obstacles hit, they've already made up their mind that I'm going to keep going. So let's talk about some practical things that you can do to commit to what you care about, commit to the goals you want to pursue, more importantly, to stick to them and to see them through. So you actually realize those goals and they become a part of your life instead of just a dream, a wish, or a nice to have. Number 1, clarity. You have to get clear on what you're pursuing. Simply saying, I want to be rich is not good enough. That's not, what does that mean to you? Is that a number? In 5 years, I want to have a net worth of $10 million. Whatever that is, be specific. And the reason you need to be specific is once you know precisely what you're going for, then it becomes easy to work backwards. So if you know that you have a goal to have $10 million in 5 years, you can determine what would I need in 5 years to have that $10 million net worth. What would I have to have? Is it a business? Is it a certain type of job? Whatever the case may be. Once you answer that question, okay, I would need to have this and this. What do you need to do to get those things? And you see, you can work backwards till you get to the step of what can you do today in that direction. Using that same example, let's say you determine in order to have the net worth and financial freedom that I'm interested in, I need to have a business. I need to have a successful business. I need to build a successful business. Okay, well, you can work backwards from that. Let's say you know nothing about business. No problem, by the way, no problem. You can learn those things. And the reality is most business owners, whether they'll admit this to you or not, they didn't know what they were doing when they first started. They had an idea and they just put one foot in front of the other. If you're willing to do that, then you win half the battle with that. But the deal is you have to be clear about what you're pursuing. Absolute must have, has to be clear about where you're going. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. The second thing is, and this is where a lot of people fail. This is why most people, in my opinion, fail with New Year's resolutions or fail with just goals in general. And that is count the cost. You have to count the cost, because the reality is that life is about trades. And if you want to add something new in your life, you have a goal, something that you want to pursue, a skill you want to develop, whatever it is, if you want to add that to your life, something else, that time is going to have to come from somewhere. You can't just manufacture time. We all have the same 24 hours. What are you going to have to give up to pursue the thing that you want to pursue? I do have a little bit of good news on this point, and that is most people don't have a clue on a granular or kind of a detailed level how they spend their time. So most people could tell you the big things. Like, I went to work, I picked my kids up from school, but there's so much waste in our days often. So for instance, I'm not a big social media person. I have a couple of social media accounts that I maybe check periodically. I don't, outside of things like content like this that are meant to be helpful to others, I don't really post anything on social media. But I found myself multiple times a day just scrolling briefly, maybe 5 to 8 minutes, but that would be multiple times a day. So let's say I scroll 5 minutes a day, 10 times a day, that's 50 minutes. It's almost an hour of time that I could easily, and I wouldn't miss it at all. And I can easily get back, almost an hour of time just by simply removing that social media out of my space, which is exactly what I did. I had a goal to get my pilot's license so I could fly my family. And when I was studying for that, there was a lot of information, and I have a busy life. I've got kids, I've got a business to run, I've got content to create, lots of things. And in order to pursue this dream and this goal I had to make trades. And so I went to the stuff, that matters the least to me first. Like, I don't care about what someone else is doing and posting on social media. I don't care. So that was an easy way to get back a little bit of time. But the reality is sometimes the trades are harder than that. Sometimes you're trading something good for something great, and you have to be willing to make those types of trades. So you got to be clear on what you're pursuing. You have to count the cost, and then finally you have to create a plan. And speaking from personal experience, a lot of people get stuck here because something seems so far out of reach or so foreign that they don't know where to start. And my advice in this arena is always the same. Start small. Start very small. One of the key ingredients to commitment is consistency, far more than intensity or even quantity. So it's so important to distill things down to small, kind of bite-sized things that don't feel overwhelming. When I started this podcast and started creating content, there was so much to learn. If you've never created content before, it's not as easy as it might seem on the surface. You need somebody to do the editing, coming up with the content in a way that's easy to digest and helpful for people and concise. There's a lot of things involved in doing it, and some of it was so foreign to me that I'm like, okay, I need to just break this down into the smallest step possible. And sometimes for me that was as simple as come up with a topic to discuss. You don't have to come up with the bullet points or the things that you want to share about the topic. Just come up with a topic. That was like my to-do list for one day, for as it related to the podcast and to content creation. And then maybe the next day it's, okay, write the bullet points to that topic. it's so small that it becomes easy to not procrastinate. It's if something feels overwhelming, it's very easy to put it off. I'll do that later. I want to make sure I'm in the right headspace, whatever the case may be. But you have to create a plan and distill things down into something that is easy to do and easy to be consistent with. So back to consistency versus intensity. Successful people understand that doing something for a few minutes every day will beat doing something for a long period of time, once a month, whatever the case may be. Exercise is probably the best example of this. If you exercise for 3 hours, 4 hours, even 6 hours once a month, you will not see anywhere near the results as if you were to exercise for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, consistently. Consistency trumps intensity. So let's recap. Commitment. It's not a wish, it's not a dream, it's not a nice to have. Commitment is a posture that says no matter what. No matter what I run into, I'm going to push through and pursue the goal, the dream, the life that I want. It's necessary to get whatever it is that you're after. Just know that you will hit obstacles and you will need to push through. So it's helpful if you just know it on the front end. And then again, the three things that can help us in our commitments are clarity. Get clear on what you're pursuing, and then you can work backwards. Number 2, count the cost. Figure out what you're going to trade. Well, again, I use the example of social media, whatever it is, where, maybe it's something, going out with friends, drinking, partying, or maybe it's video games, or maybe, again, for you, maybe it's social media. Whatever it is, count the cost, figure out what you're going to trade, and then make the trade. Delete the social media off your phone. Say no to those obligations that will keep you from doing what you want to do. And then thirdly, you have to create a plan. By the way, you do need to be specific in your plan, but just know that it's not going to be 100% accurate, and you'll change it and it'll evolve along the way, and that's good. That's okay. That's normal. If your goal is $10 million in 5 years, you likely are not gonna, on the day that is 5 years exactly from that time, gonna have exactly $10 million, not a cent more, not a cent less. It's a goal and it's imperfect. And so just know that you do need to be specific so you can aim at something, but you'll find along the way that, I need to tweak this, I need to change that. Maybe this makes a little more sense. You might find that you can do more than you thought. It's a little cliche, but you can do more in 5 years than you probably think. And most people, you can do less in a year than people think. So the reality is that most long-term goals are the good ones. If something is able to be done in a very short amount of time, it's probably, not that significant. So just know that you have to commit and you have to push through. And at the end of the day, if you get clear on what you're pursuing, you count the cost and are willing to make the trades, and you create a plan, all you have to do is execute. All you have to do is just take that one step that's in front of you today. That is step 1 on the plan. Thanks for listening.